Welcome and thank you for clicking on my video. If you are tuning into this is actually a live video right now, but we are going to give you the full YouTube video right here as well. So make sure you're not clicking away. This isn't just a live video. We're going to break down the stocks right before they close today as of right now. So we're going to cover all the stocks that we do cover on this channel, get into that technical analysis before we get into the GTC conference with Nvidia speaking. So we will have that at the second part. So if you'd like to watch the run through of all our videos or of all our stocks that we do cover on this channel, then stick around and see what happened for Nvidia. We're going to watch that in real time live today. Okay, so not going to be interacting with chat. We got to get this video out there. We have a lot of stuff going on. We have the potential to go into an economic depression, but we might see a surge higher before that happens. Let's get into some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and we might even pop into some other stocks after that because we are live right now. But please leave a like on this video, and then as we move forward on the SPY, we can notice that they're very cool thing we did today. If we go into a shorter time frame, we can see this is very, very cool. What did we mention in last night's video? Well, this is going to be in a very important level, and if we're going to see that upward move, we need to use this as support. And as of right now, we're not even closed as of right now, but we gapped above it. That is a huge, huge sign that we're going to see some positivity. If we can remain and retest that area, we talked about this live this morning. If we retest that area, you can see that second push, getting this MACD on the 15-minute to curl up into positive territory. That very well may turn up this 2-hour. We may be making another point higher. So once this did happen, if you were watching live, we said pay attention to those weekly expected moves. I'm going to be posting the daily expected moves just in a post for us, or I might be a little busy. My girl's been keeping me a little busy lately, so I might just have to do that. We'll come early tomorrow. Let's do that. Tomorrow morning, I'll get on a little bit earlier like we did today, and I'll give you guys those daily expected moves for the SPY and the Qs. Okay, let's do that. But this would be very good. Now, what we need to look out for is we are on the verge of some very bad stuff happening. We're going to look at yields at the end, but if we start to head higher here, coming up into this danger zone, we could see a drop and get another point of divergence and roll over into negative territory. So when we get that peak euphoria possibly coming with Nvidia, we could get peak euphoria and see all that ripped away with something bad happening in the overall market. Now the Qs, you're going to see a similar thing, right? We see that gapping up above the area where we need to, right? We gap above this, we use it as support for the whole day. That means we can head higher, but we'll have to pay attention. Does the Qs make a new high, or does it make another lower high while the SPY goes up higher? That's a sell signal we'll want to pay attention to. Look for, if we do make a higher high here, look for that little point of divergence. We could get that right into negative territory, continue this negative trend, take out this low, start to head down. So then we're going to want to pay attention to some daily charts, but this is very, very interesting. The fact that we did gap up to this area. You guys know I had Tesla calls. I took my profit today, but Apple, as we click into it, this is where being a part of the Patreon really does benefit you, because we had someone who actually did trade Apple today, and they came into the chat and they said, oh, Apple just hit its topside move. I'm taking profit. They said, thank you for that. That's the point of this channel, to really help you out. And the good part here is you're still really close to that negative territory, and we could use some rejection up here as that happens. Now on the 15-minute, you're going to see if we get some positivity, we could get another reaction higher, looking for a 15-minute divergence. This is something that we will be talking about on Patreon if this shows up tomorrow. So if you like those weekly ranges, I can tell you this one touched it right up in here. We could see it head down. Now the daily scale, we kind of want to look at that here. We're seeing a buy signal. We're curling up into, curling up on the MACD, but we're really far away from positive territory. So you have to be very careful with these pops. Even if you get a big one to go retest, make sure this is going into positive territory if you want to stay in that, because if it rolls over negative territory, test the low, go make a new one for Apple. Tesla, similar thing, right? We see the divergence down here. Very, very good signal. Looks like Tesla could see a very strong move. Maybe that's the rotation out of Nvidia and back into Tesla, and we could see some strength here, but you still have to be cautious. Make sure that is going into positive territory. We get really important news on Wednesday, so that's going to be something you want to pay attention to. If we just pull into a 2-hour, you're still in negative territory. If we look at a 30-minute, you might be going positive. So if we do want to make a move higher, it could happen. But something about the Patreon, we actually had someone trading Tesla as well, and I was the one doing it too. I got out a little bit early. You guys know that. We went a little bit higher, could have made more money, but that's okay. We're still green. We're profitable, and that is what is important. So What could happen here? Well, if we actually go down into a 15-minute, same thing as Apple. We can see one more curl up in this move, but does it create some kind of divergence here before that Fed rate decision? This is going to be very, very scary if we're going up towards these areas, towards that 180.92 on Tesla, before we actually see that Fed rate decision. And that's what we're going to talk about towards the end of this little spiel with the 10-year and TLT. Now, Amazon actually struggling a little bit, but this is possibly some kind of small, almost double bottom, I would say, and we could see some strength here. Really just paying attention to my 2-hour charts, though. This one not seeing the most strength, but if we get that 2-hour to roll up, we can go and test a higher level and see some kind of divergence up in this area. You got a low, you have right now a higher low, so if you can break through this high, make a higher one, this is where I would just be a little bit cautious in this area as we're going into a big event. Not too much to say as far as Amazon goes, just want to pay attention to if it starts to break down, does it break this low? If it starts to break up, does it break this high? That's kind of how simply I'm thinking about this at this point. Nvidia going forward, this is the big thing we were talking about. Well, throughout the day, we were saying if this 30-minute really wants to curl over, we could create some kind of divergence down here. But what did we mention days ago? Days and days and days ago, we said, what if we create a left, a head, and a right shoulder? And look, since we mentioned that, it was like somewhere up in here, actually. And guess what? We dip lower, we create the head. We dip lower, we create the right shoulder. So this was a very, very good idea that we put out there, and we just saw it happen in real time. It was very, very cool. Now this still has to confirm. It's not saying this has to go up, but I was really thinking if this keeps coming down, we could create a divergence. That didn't happen, so therefore I look at my 2-hour. If this curls up, you have the opportunity for some big positivity. We know that the range on Patreon is pretty big moving forward, so could be pretty big move here. Now it could be a pretty big move up, it could be a pretty big move down. So you notice that the 2-hour right next to the center line, right? Right before a big event, right next to the center line. Sorry, we're going to hear some barking for a sec, but we got to keep going. So if this wants to curl up in positive territory, we can see further positivity. Sorry if the barking bugs you guys, but we got to keep going. We can see that further positivity in Nvidia. Maybe we get that big idea we were talking about, head and shoulders in this area, left, head, right shoulder. That very well could be happening very soon. So we want to pay attention to that, but notice how we're right at the center line before this news in about 18 minutes. We could see this keep going. So we have to pay attention. If this base is broken, then it might be game over. We might start a series of lower highs, lower lows. AMD, very similar story. This is something I was just thinking, if it rolls over on this 30-minute, you look at that MACD, it kind of looks like it wants to roll over, but it just won't do it. So we were really stating early on Patreon, hey, if this does make a dip lower, look for some kind of divergence down here before that news. It didn't do that, so we quickly updated and we just said, okay, now we just say, look at the 2-hour. The 2-hour is still in negative territory, so it's a little weaker than Nvidia. But if this wants to make a move higher, we are going to see that cross on this MACD. We're going to see it cross, and then we're going to see it get into positive territory. So the first check mark is done. The second check mark is to come, and that most likely will depend on this news in 18 minutes. We can go through Meta real quick. Meta, another one crossing up. If it gets into positive territory, we see that positivity. And I went back while I was taking a break from streaming from this morning, and I just went back and looked. Every time that Nvidia put out good news, AMD popped. Every time Nvidia put out good news, Meta popped. So we could assume that if Nvidia gets some good news, we could see some kind of upward move in Meta. That is something that I wanted to bring up. Now, Google and Apple did have that good news. That's what overall pushed them higher. Apple is going to be working out a deal with Google to use Gemini in iPhones, and I think that's very, very, very cool. But I don't have time to go through and click right now. We're trying to get through almost like a YouTube video here, okay, for people. Now, one thing I wanted to mention was the VIX actually did curl down since this morning. It did curl down on this 2-hour, so we could see further selling come in, right? We could see that selling come in, but look out for some kind of divergence here in case we want to reverse. Volatility can drop off, which means some positivity come in. When you add all the things together, it looks like Nvidia is going to see a pop. It looks like it's going to see a pop higher, but will that be able to withstand? Like, will it be able to hold at those levels? Most likely when you get past a big number like 1,000, you're going to see some kind of selling come in, some kind of profit taking. Lastly, the 10-year. Look at this thing just going up and up and up, still going at this point, about to go hit our level of 4.362. And this is forcing the Fed's hand. These bond traders are saying, you got to do something right now. Because if we don't raise these rates, the PPI and CPI came out hot. We need to raise the rates or else we're going to experience hyperinflation. So the Fed is going to be very interesting. I hope they don't give us a nothing burger, because that would be the most confusing thing if they just say, like, if they just ghost us. That would be kind of awful, because they'd be like, we're dependent on the data. Well, the data says you should raise the rates again, or at least keep them higher, don't cut. And then they go, we got to depend on that data. And it's like, if they just give you a nothing burger, it's going to be awful. And most likely these TLT people will, or the bond traders will keep doing it and pushing those rates up, which could cause a banking crisis. So maybe if they want to say, like, hey, we don't want it to be our fault, we want it to be the bond traders' fault. Like, oh, the bond traders are the ones who push the yields up, not us. And then they're the ones that actually crash the market with a banking crisis. I mean, that's possible. They have jobs and they want to keep those jobs. So it's possible. And yes, Richard, it very well might be. So yeah, just moving forward, you can see the dollar here about to burst, about to absolutely burst here. So that's very interesting with this Nvidia event going on. Like, I wonder if we're going to see this keep moving up while the market moves up. That would be very interesting, and maybe a signal going on into Wednesday. So we're going to talk about a lot of these things. The main takeaway for this video is really just, you know, we could see some kind of upward move in Nvidia, but things are starting to happen overall with inflation and the out of control we are with inflation as far as the Fed goes, that we could be seeing some upward movement in the very near price action. But it really looks like I might be right in calling that the bear market is going to begin by the end of March, because this is not looking good. And it is possible that this isn't a great recession. It is possible that it is a great recession. Not to scare you out too much, we still trade like water out there, and I appreciate you guys liking, subscribing, doing all that good stuff on YouTube. You guys are great for those YouTube videos. And now we're going to get back to us going live here. So wish you luck tomorrow, but you can stick around with us if you want to watch some of this GTC stuff. How's it going, chat? All right, let's see. Let's go. Good afternoon, Ocean Goose, Debusta, Review, H. Sophia, you came back. Born Gunners came back. I really think there could be some positivity in Nvidia. I really do. Even though you're seeing this with the dollar, we've seen the dollar head up for quite some time, but what's the market done? It's head up for quite some time, and then it comes down and the market still goes up, and then it goes up again. Maybe the market still goes up. So this could just be an opportunity for the big boys to sell out of their Nvidia, and then we notice that the dollar is eventually going parabolic and people hit the sell button. So definitely possible. But how was your guys' afternoon? I had me some fried rice. That's what I had today. Fried rice. Weirdly enough, Buffalo Wild Wings. I put some mango habanero in my fried rice. Guys, just a little bit, because I like a little spice. It was awesome. Sorry, my bad habit. Got to do it. Keeps my ADHD in check. But thank you guys for showing up in the afternoon. I know it's a little bit different, right? It's a little different, but we're going to have some fun. I'm going to make sure to have that stream up here. I actually have it right over here. Yeah, I've got it right here, ready to go, straight from the Nvidia. Nvidia has 1.25 million subscribers to YouTube. Yo, I'm slacking. I got 3.5K. You know what I need? I need Jensen to shout me out during this. That'd be sick. Jensen, if you could shout me out during this, that'd be really appreciated. I know he's watching the stream, so. Making food is missed gains. Oh, so you're one of those preppers, huh? Oh yeah, I guess I shouldn't have the dollar on. Let's really go look at like Nvidia. This is what we really want to pay attention to. And I'm actually going to most likely turn on extended hours for this while we watch. But look how close that is to curling up at end of the day. Like, it wants to, but it needs something to move higher at this point. Let's turn on the extended hours. It's going to look wonky, so maybe I shouldn't, but I think this is the most fun way to do it. Yeah, 4 hour. Okay, usually if you do extended hours and you switch it to a 4 hour, it looks similar to what the market had. Blackburn, you know, so the crazy part is like with the move, I got like this job and stuff like that, and then I had the YouTube, and then we had the baby. You would believe it? I used to weigh 180 pounds, and I was like strong as hell. Used to lift like 235 bench and stuff, and I'm like 5'10", 175, 180. But yeah, recently because of all that stress, I've lost like 30 pounds, so I'm trying to gain it back right now. I just got a gym membership yesterday. You always try and scare me with your YouTube titles. I do, and I'm sorry. I mean, all the YouTube titles, they do relate to what we're talking about. It's just if you dig into the content, you're going to be like, oh, well, but we are looking at recent price action, right? But if you look at the grand scheme of things, oops, sorry, I punched you. Maybe this is a good point to say, like Ron Walker, he can make something scary, and if he shows you the grand scheme, the dailies and the weeklies all the time, it looks scary. It looks scary, but it takes a lot of time for those things to happen. So I'm pretty much like, this could burn down. We could go into an economic depression. We genuinely could. But in our videos, we're going to follow the price action, right? That's what we're doing. We're following the price action so that we can just catch these moves. And then once we go into a more volatile market, where we can look at some volatility going on, that's where the course really helps. And let's flash this up there. Look at this. Boom. If you want the weekly ranges for the Patreon or my trading course, the link's down in the description. But like, yeah, it's just, we have to follow the shorter price action. I know most people aren't trading with year out options or something. Would you short Nvidia if it reaches 1,000? If it wasn't so expensive and I could buy like 2 months out, and I'd have to buy so far out of the money, and then being that far out of the money, I don't know. Let me go look how expensive. Oh, we're starting in 9 minutes. We still got a little time here. Let's look how expensive it would be to, at this point, buy a put on Nvidia and get that thing like 2 months out. Let's go for end of April. Let's just do end of April. You got 40 days. All right, put. So right now, if you wanted to buy the 885 put, it would cost you $6,320 for one contract. So in order for me to do this, I really like to buy like 5 contracts most of the time. Sometimes like I use 5 as a way to scale into a position. So then at the end of the day, I have 10. So what I would say, looking at Nvidia, where's it going to drop to? Okay, the first point that I could really see it going to, most likely down to the 679. I could say like, hey, if I want to buy 5, I could take like a 750, like way out of the money for 1,390 for 40 days out. And then I could buy like 5 of those. And then if it did go up, I could just buy 5 more, price it out over 1,000. Or I could wait till it hits 1,000 and then look at the price of 750, or even go to like 900 or something. But the thing is, I don't like doing these volatile things. I would rather use Nvidia to say, okay, if Nvidia pops, Meta pops. But if Nvidia drops, Meta drops. Maybe I'm going to trade Meta. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm going to trade AMD just because the option is a little cheaper. And it allows me to extend my time. Because these things take time to happen. No, it's not going below pre-earnings. Like, well, see, that's where the timeline, Aaron, that's the timeline. The timeline matters. It could take 6 months for it to go back down to there, but it definitely can, guys. Like, don't think that Nvidia on the weekly scale, don't think it can't go down to these levels. Like, if you really want to talk bearish, Nvidia could technically make some kind of move over the next 2 years down to 259. Like, don't take that out of the question. We're so far away from the 20 on the weekly and the 50 that we could reconnect with 490. We could reconnect with 671. Like, don't get in that headspace of this thing stays at 1,000. It very well, like let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, you want to say that? Bitcoin's going to 100K, goes to 60K. What happens? let's see, this peak here, what happens 35 days later? Yeah, and that's perfectly fun, Aaron. I just don't want people in that headspace of this has to remain higher. People do hit the sell button every once in a while. It doesn't mean that the Bitcoin is bad. It doesn't mean that the stock of Nvidia is bad. It means that a lot of people saw this as overvalued up here, or they wanted to take profit, and then it comes down. What does it do? It reacts to the 50, and we go right back up there. It's perfectly fine. That can happen with Nvidia. I'm just saying this is the first huge euphoric push, right? So the opportunity is if this pulls back to the 50, look at this liquidity in here. Okay, now we can base out. Do you know what I'm saying? I just want to see this 2 hours as we close, but hopefully you guys get what I'm saying there. And I'm going to pull up a 4 hour for now since we're doing the aftermarket here. If you guys want me to do shorter time frames, we can see the reaction, but sometimes you see some craziness. We got about 5 minutes. Oh, Carlos, I believe you. I believe you. I think we got maybe, like I said, I actually said it in the beginning of this video. So if you come back late, like if you're watching this right now, I'm going to say this a few times throughout. Just make sure to rewatch this video and like it because it's just like my YouTube video. I just don't want to put out another video. I guess I could cut it and do another one, but that's posting 3 videos in a day. Best thing to do on YouTube. I was in marketing for years. So, yeah, if you get the chance, if you're showing up to this live video at this point, make sure to go click this video again and watch the beginning as we broke it down, and then at the end we're just talking about GTC and stuff here. Yeah, and you can wait till after market as well. If you want to watch GTC, you can wait till after the market, like after the GTC event, and then just go back and watch it like a regular YouTube. But so let's like this just like it's a regular YouTube video. Let's crank it out there. Let's get back up to that 100 like mark. Fried rice hour. Yo, fried rice is so good though. Daily for the SPY tomorrow. You have to wait till market close. You have to usually wait till market close and sometimes wait like most of the time you want to wait like 30 minutes afterwards. I think we're going to go to possibly test the highs on the QQQ. I really do think we're going to end up testing the top side of the weekly range, unless we see something crazy happen, right? If Nvidia says something bad or bad news comes out. But at this point, you've consolidated up in this area. You have made the new low, so you have potential to keep going down in the Qs. That's for sure if we look at the shorter time frames. But you have to say this has potential to go higher because this is what's keeping it higher at this point. So if Nvidia goes higher, the market probably heads higher. I think SPY probably gives you some kind of divergence up here on a 2 hour. We talked about that in the beginning of this video. That's why I'm just saying it's pretty important to go back. And then if you want the daily ranges, because we're not going to be putting out a new YouTube video, right? We broke down the stocks in the first 10 minutes of this video. So go back and watch that after we're done here. But if you would like the daily ranges, I'm going to go live a little bit earlier tomorrow as well to give you those ranges. Oh yeah. We've looked at stocks before, and I know my chart's gonna look funky because I'm on this hour. Let me change this real quick. Regular trading hour, 2 hour. Looks like it could curl over into negative territory. Do you see this? So this is the bear short. This is why it's like, okay, this could curl over. You don't want to do technicals on a 3x. Okay, doing technicals on a 3x is bad. If anything, you want to go to like the semiconductors itself and see what's going on. Well, semiconductors, yes, they got a pullback, but if this 2 hour crosses, you can go into positive territory right before a big event or during the big event, and we could see that positivity come in tomorrow. So time to be a little cautious. Hopefully you were able to buy the bottom. Now you might see a divergence up here. So what I would do is if I see a divergence here like this, then at this point, what do? I switch over to this, and then I go, okay, this is going to be down here, buy it. Okay, cool, done. That's what I would do. Now I gotta erase a random drawing on on the AMD starting to break down, probably crossing on this 30 minutes. So that, oh, it's still not. If we see that keep selling, but this could be people getting out before the news. Okay, 259. I'm gonna pull up that stream real quick. Make it nice and small for us so we can watch it here. Let me. Can I get this thing to like sit still? All right. We're going to do what we did with Jerome Powell. We are just going to watch this maybe in the bottom left here. We're going to put it right there for you guys. And we are going to turn this on. Here we go. Can I like full screen? No, it's not going to want a full screen like this. I just want to get rid of this. That's going to make it full screen. Mini player? Ooh, mini player. Let's try that. Not working. Alright, we'll do it this way. Here you go.
Our show is about to begin.
Our show is about to begin. Didn't cross over on that MACD though. Alright, let's turn on the extended hours here. We can watch the, really want to watch the 4 hour, guys. This is going to be the most helpful. And we're just going to leave it here and watch. Alright, that's going. Crank that volume for you. I think Nvidia pops. But that's just my opinion. Oh man, this is so hypey. So hypey.
I am a visionary. Illuminating galaxies to witness the birth of stars.
Don't worry, I'm bringing it back up. I just want to turn this, get this on the screen here so you guys can see it pretty good. I want to make sure it all looks good.
Understanding of extreme
then on the
weather
left,
events.
I'm going to watch some other stocks.
I am a helper.
More Pando, good luck.
Guiding the blind
Amro, good luck.
through a crowded world.
I was thinking about running to the store.
And giving voice
I
to
feel you,
those who
Blackburn.
cannot speak.
You guys here all right?
I am a transformer.
Yeah, give me a yeah if you can hear all right.
Harnessing gravity to store renewable power. And paving the way towards unlimited clean energy for us all.
My legs are bouncing, I'm nervous.
A trainer. Teaching robots to assist.
I am with you, Carlos.
To watch out
I'm a
for danger.
Prepper, I got beans and rice and all that stuff.
And help save lives.
I'm gonna keep my eye on
am
Meta and
a
AMD
healer.
on my left screen for you guys and update you.
Providing a new generation of cures. And new levels of patient care.
Doctor, that I am allergic to penicillin. Is it still okay to take the medications?
Definitely. These antibiotics don't contain penicillin, so it's
Apple
perfectly
kind of
safe for
rug
you to
pulled
take
there
them.
at the end.
I am a navigator. Generating virtual scenarios. To let us safely explore the real world. And understand every decision. I even helped write the script. Breathe life into the words. En muchos idiomas. Y escribí la música.
Bro, I just use coupons to buy fast food. That's it. I don't buy fast food usually unless I have a coupon.
I am AI. brought to life by Nvidia, deep learning, and brilliant minds everywhere.
Please welcome to the stage NVIDIA founder and CEO, Jensen Huang.
Jensen, you're so hot.
Welcome to GTC. I hope you realize this is not a concert. You have arrived at a developers conference. There will be a lot of science described, algorithms,
Chick-fil-A's
computer
bougie.
architecture, mathematics. I sensed a very heavy weight in the room all of a sudden, almost like you were in the wrong place. No conference in the world is there a greater assembly of researchers from such diverse fields of science, from climate tech to radio sciences, trying to figure out how to use AI to robotically control MIMOs for next generation 6G radios, robotics, self-driving cars, even artificial intelligence. Even artificial intelligence. Everybody's...
We're just going to give
First,
AI all the
I
tools
noticed
to
a sense
take
of
us
relief
over,
there
guys.
all of a sudden.
Sketch.
Also, this conference is represented by some amazing companies. This list, this is not the attendees. These are the presenters. And what's amazing is this. If you take away
PayPal,
all of
Google.
my friends, close friends, Michael Dell is sitting right there, in the IT industry, all of the friends I grew up with in the industry. If you take away that list, this is what's amazing. These are the presenters of the non-IT industries using accelerated computing to solve problems that normal computers can't. It's
Netflix.
represented
U.S. Army.
in life sciences,
UPS.
healthcare, genomics, transportation, of course, retail, logistics, manufacturing, industrial. The gamut of industries represented is truly amazing. And you're not here to attend only, you're here to present, to talk about your research. $100 trillion of the world's industries is represented in this room today. This is absolutely amazing.
Same here, Phantom. I hope everyone did have a good day out there. We're just getting some excitement here. If you want
There is absolutely something happening.
the
There
YouTube
is
video we
something
did at the
going
beginning of
on.
this video. So after this video is done, if you haven't
The
watched our
industry is being
breakdown,
transformed,
you're going to
not
want to go
just
back
ours.
to the first 10
Because
minutes.
the computer industry, the computer is the single most important instrument of society today. Fundamental transformations in computing affects every industry. But how did we start? How did we get here?
Like
I
for
made a
Jensen.
little cartoon for you. Literally, I drew this. In one page, this is NVIDIA's journey. Started in 1993. This might be the rest of the talk. 1993, this is our journey. We were founded in 1993. There are several important events that happened along the way. I'll just highlight a few. In 2006, CUDA, which has turned out to have been a revolutionary computing model, we thought it was revolutionary then. It was going to be an overnight success, and almost 20
Guys,
years later, it happened.
Take your mouse and
We saw it
give
coming.
Squirtle a rub for some good luck.
2 decades later. In 2012, AlexNet, AI and CUDA made first contact. In 2016, recognizing the importance of this computing model, we invented a brand new type of computer. We called it DGX-1. 170 teraflops in this supercomputer. 8 GPUs connected together for the very first time. I hand-delivered the very first DGX-1 to a startup located in San Francisco called OpenAI. DGX-1 was the world's first AI supercomputer. Remember, 170 teraflops. 2017, the transformer arrived. 2022, ChatGPT captured the world's imaginations, have people realize the importance and the capabilities of artificial intelligence. And 2023, generative AI emerged, and a new industry begins. Why? Why is a new industry? Because the software never existed before. We are now producing software, using computers to write software, producing software that never existed before. It is a brand new category. It took share from nothing. It's a brand new category. And the way you produce this software is unlike anything we've ever done before. In data centers, generating tokens, producing floating point numbers at very large scale, as if in the beginning of this last industrial revolution, when people realized that you would set up factories, apply energy to it.
My channel.
And
What?
this invisible, valuable thing called electricity came out, AC generators. And 100 years later, 200 years later, we are now creating new types of electrons, tokens, using infrastructure we call factories, AI factories, to generate this new, incredibly valuable thing called artificial intelligence. A new industry
Chill,
has
guys.
emerged.
Jesus is. Jensen's talking.
We're going to talk about many things about this new industry. We're going to talk about how we're going to do computing next. We're going to talk about the type of software that you build because of this new industry, the new software, how you would think about this new software. What about applications in this new industry? And then maybe
No
what's
infrastructure.
next? And how can
No
we
AI.
start preparing today for what is about to come next? Well, but before I start, I want to show you the soul of Nvidia, the soul of our company. At the intersection of computer graphics, physics, and artificial intelligence, all intersecting inside a computer, in Omniverse, in a virtual world simulation. Everything we're going to show you today, literally everything we're going to show you today, is a simulation, not animation. It's only beautiful because it's physics. The world is beautiful. It's only amazing because it's being animated with robotics. It's being animated with artificial intelligence. What you're about to see all day is completely generated, completely simulated in Omniverse, and all of it, what you're about to enjoy is the world's first concert where everything is homemade.
I love his pause for applause.
Everything is homemade. You're about to watch some home videos. So sit back and enjoy yourself.
My channel, I'm not gonna lie, no one in here can tell if you're bullish or bearish. We have no clue what you're doing. Please let us know. Okay, so if this is all a simulation, then Black Mirror is right. Black Mirror is gonna happen. Okay, that's kind of sick. Okay, that looked like Toy Story. That looked like Toy Story. All I'm seeing out of this, if all this comes true, is no one has a job. AI does everything.
God, I love Nvidia. Accelerated computing has reached the tipping point. General purpose computing has run out of steam. We need another way of doing computing so that we can continue to scale, so that we can continue to drive down the cost of computing, so that we can continue to consume more and more computing.
Awkward inflation.
Accelerated computing is a dramatic speed up over general purpose computing. And in every single industry we engage, and I'll show you many, the impact is dramatic. But in no industry is it more important than our own. The industry of using simulation tools to create products. In this industry, it is not about driving down the cost of computing, it's about driving up the scale of computing. We would like to be able to simulate the entire product that we do completely in full fidelity, completely digitally, in essentially what we call digital twins. We would like to design it, build it, simulate it, operate it completely digitally. In order to do that, we need to accelerate an entire industry. And today, I would like to announce that we have some partners who are joining us in this journey to accelerate their entire ecosystem so that we can bring the world into accelerated computing. But there's a bonus. When you become accelerated, your infrastructure is CUDA GPUs. And when that happens, it's exactly the same infrastructure for generative AI. And so I'm just delighted to announce several very important partnerships. They're some of the most important companies in the world. Ansys does engineering simulation for what the world makes. We're partnering with them to CUDA accelerate the Ansys ecosystem, to connect Ansys to the Omniverse digital twin. Incredible. The thing that's really great is that the install base of NVIDIA GPU accelerated systems are all over the world, in every cloud, in every system, all over enterprises. And so the applications they accelerate will have a giant installed base to go serve. End users will have amazing applications, and of course, system makers and CSPs will have great customer demand. Synopsys. Synopsys is NVIDIA's literally first software partner. They were there in the very first day of our company. Synopsys revolutionized the chip industry with high-level design. We are going to CUDA accelerate Synopsys. We're accelerating computational lithography, one of the most important applications that nobody's ever known about. In order to make chips, we have to push lithography to the limit. NVIDIA has created a library, a domain-specific library, that accelerates computational lithography incredibly. Once we can accelerate and software define all of TSMC, who is announcing today that they're going to go into production with Nvidia cuLitho. Once it's software-defined and accelerated, the next step is to apply generative AI to the future of semiconductor manufacturing, pushing geometry even further. Cadence builds the world's essential EDA and SDA tools. We also use Cadence. Between these three companies, Ansys, Synopsys, and Cadence, we basically build NVIDIA. Together, we are CUDA accelerating Cadence. They're also building a supercomputer out of NVIDIA GPUs so that their customers could do fluid dynamic simulation at 100, 1,000 times scale. Basically, a wind tunnel in real time. Cadence Millennium, a supercomputer with NVIDIA GPUs inside. A software company building supercomputers. I love seeing that. Building Cadence co-pilots together. Imagine a day when Cadence could, Synopsys, Ansys, tool providers, would offer you AI co-pilots so that we have thousands and thousands of co-pilot assistants helping us design chips, design systems. And we're also going to connect Cadence Digital Twin Platform to Omniverse. As you can see the trend here, we're accelerating.
Someone sent a message to the chip in Jensen's head saying, hey, you need to pump it harder.
Our future in digital twins. And we're going to connect them all to Omniverse, the fundamental operating system for future digital twins. One of the industries that benefited tremendously from scale, and you all know this one very well, large language models. Basically, after the transformer was invented, we were able to scale large language models at incredible rates, effectively doubling every 6 months. Now, how is it possible that by doubling every 6 months, that we have grown the industry, we have grown the computational requirements so far? And the reason for that is quite simply this. If you double the size of the model, you double the size of your brain, you need twice as much information to go fill it. And so every time you double your parameter count, you also have to appropriately increase your training token count. The combination of those two numbers becomes the computation scale you have to support. The latest, the state-of-the-art OpenAI model is approximately 1.8 trillion parameters. 1.8 trillion parameters required several trillion tokens to go train. So a few trillion parameters on the order of, a few trillion tokens on the order of, when you multiply the two of them together, approximately 30, 40, 50 billion, quadrillion floating point operations per second. Now we just have to do some CO math right now, just hang with me. So you have 30 billion quadrillion. A quadrillion is like a peta.
It's a tech conference.
And so if you had a petaflop GPU, you would need 30
Cadence.
billion seconds to go compute, to go train that model. 30 billion seconds is approximately 1,000 years. Well, 1,000 years, it's worth it. I'd like to do it sooner, but it's worth it. Which is usually my answer when most people tell me, hey, how long is it going to take to do something? So 20 years? It's worth it. But can we do it next week? And so 1,000 years, 1,000 years. So what we need are bigger GPUs. We need much, much bigger GPUs. We recognized this early on, and we realized that the answer is to put a whole bunch of GPUs together. And of course, innovate a whole bunch of things along the way, like inventing tensor cores, advancing NVLink so that we could create essentially virtually giant GPUs, and connecting them all together with amazing networks from a company called Mellanox, InfiniBand, so that we could create these giant systems. And so DGX-1 was our first version, but it wasn't the last. We built supercomputers all along the way. In 2021, we had Selene, 4,500 GPUs or so. And then in 2023, we built one of the largest AI supercomputers in the world. It's just come online, EOS. And as we're building these things, we're trying to help the world build these things. And in order to help the world build these things, we got to build them first. We build the chips, the systems, the networking, all of the software necessary to do this. You should see these systems. Imagine writing a piece of software that runs across the entire system, distributing the computation across thousands of GPUs, but inside are thousands of smaller GPUs. Millions of GPUs to distribute work across all of that and to balance the workload so that you can get the most energy efficiency, the best computation time, keep your costs down. And so those fundamental innovations is what got us here. And here we are, as we see the miracle of ChatGPT emerge in front of us, we also realize we have a long ways to go. We need even larger models. We're going to train it with multimodality data, not just text on the internet, but we're going to train it on text and images and graphs and charts. And just as we learn watching TV. And so there's going to be a whole bunch of watching video so that these models can be grounded in physics, understands that an arm doesn't go through a wall. And so these
it's like Big Short. It's a
would have common sense
CDO inside a
watching
CDO.
a lot of the world's video combined with a lot of the world's languages. They'll use things like synthetic data generation, just as you and I do. When we try to learn, we might use our imagination to simulate how it's going to end up, just as I did when I was preparing for this keynote. I was simulating it all along the way. I hope it's going to turn out as well as I had it in my head. As I was simulating how this keynote was going to turn out, somebody did say that another performer did her performance completely on a treadmill so that she could be in shape to deliver it with full energy. I didn't do that. If I get a little winded about 10 minutes into this, you know what happened. And so where were we? We're sitting here using synthetic data generation. We're going to use reinforcement learning. We're going to practice it in our mind. We're going to have AI working with AI, training each other, just like student and teacher debaters. All of that is going to increase the size of our model. It's going to increase the amount of data that we have, and we're going to have to build even bigger GPUs. Hopper is fantastic, but we need bigger GPUs.
I was about to say so.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to a very, very big GPU.
There's electricity in the human body, so if we put a chip in the human body, it can power the GPUs. You just have to run it around
Named
a
after
hamster
David
wheel.
Blackwell, a mathematician, game theorists, probability. We thought it was a perfect name. Blackwell, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this.
This is it. This is something important. Very important. GT Cuts, thank you for the donation. Really appreciate $1.99. Not popping up right now, but it might in a little bit. Thank you so much. Good luck, you little bear out there. That was cool.
Blackwell is
Star
not a
Wars.
chip. Blackwell is the name of a platform. People think we make GPUs, and we do, but GPUs don't look the way they used to. Here's the, if you will, the heart of the Blackwell system, and this inside the company is not called Blackwell; it's just a number. And this is Blackwell sitting next to, this is the most advanced GPU in the world in production today. This is Hopper.
You can buy it for $25,000
This is Hopper. Hopper changed the world.
household.
This is Blackwell. It's okay, Hopper. You're very good. Good boy. Well, good girl. 208 billion transistors, and so you could see, I can see, there's a small line between two dies. This is the first time two dies have abutted like this together in such a way that the two dies think it's one chip. There's 10 terabytes of data between it, 10 terabytes per second, so that these two sides of the Blackwell chip have no clue which side they're on. There's no memory locality issues, no cache issues. It's just one giant chip. And so when we were told that Blackwell's ambitions were beyond the limits of physics, the engineer said, so what? And so this is what happened. And so this is the Blackwell chip, and it goes into two types of systems. The first one is form-fit-function compatible to Hopper. And so you slide on Hopper, and you push in Blackwell. That's the reason why one of the challenges of ramping is going to be so efficient. There are installations of Hoppers all over the world, and they could be the same infrastructure, same design, the power, the electricity, the thermals, the software, identical, push it right back. And so this is a Hopper version for the current HGX configuration. And this is what the second Hopper looks like this. Now this is a prototype board, and Janine, could I just borrow? Ladies and gentlemen, Janine Paul. And so this is a fully functioning board, and I'll just be careful here. This right here is, I don't know, $10 billion. The second one's 5. It gets cheaper after that, so any customers in the audience, it's okay. All right, but this one's quite expensive. This is the bring-up board, and the way it's going to go to production is like this one here, okay? And so you're going to take this. It has 2 Blackwell dies.
Thank you for saying that, Ken. I hope you have a good rest of your night.
And 4 Blackwell dies connected to a Grace CPU. The Grace CPU has a super fast chip-to-chip link. What's amazing is this computer is the first of its kind where this much computation, first of all, fits into this small of a place. Second, it's memory coherent. They feel like they're just one big happy family working on one application together. And so everything is coherent within it. Just the amount of you saw the numbers. There's a lot of terabytes this and terabytes that. But this is a miracle. This is this. Let's see. What are some of the things on here?
This is a this. You heard it from Jensen himself.
NVLink on
This
top.
is a
PCI
this.
Express on the bottom. On your.
Thanks, Tim.
Which one is mine and your left? One of them. It doesn't matter. One of them is a CPU chip-to-chip link. It's my left or your, depending on which side. I was trying to sort that out, and I just kind of doesn't matter. Hopefully it comes plugged in, so. Okay, so this is the Grace Blackwell system. But there's more. So it turns out, all of the specs is fantastic, but we need a whole lot of new features in order to push the limits beyond, if you will, the limits of physics. We would like to always get a lot more X factors. And so one of the things that we did was we invented another transformer engine, the second generation. It has the ability to dynamically and automatically rescale and recast numerical formats to a lower precision whenever it can. Remember, artificial intelligence is about probability. And so you kind of have, 1.7, approximately 1.7 times approximately 1.4 to be approximately something else. Does that make sense? And so the ability for the mathematics to retain the precision and the range necessary in that particular stage
Frankie,
of
thank
the
you for the
pipeline,
$9.99.
super important. And so
Third super
this
live on the stream.
it's not just about the fact that we designed a smaller ALU. It's not quite, the world's not quite
You're
that
welcome
simple.
to the live streams.
You've got to figure out when you can use that across a computation that is thousands of GPUs. It's running for weeks and weeks on weeks, and you want to make sure that the training job is going to converge. And so this new transformer engine, we have a 5th generation NVLink. It's now twice as fast as Hopper, but very importantly, it has computation in the network. And the reason for that is because when you have so many different GPUs working together, we have to share our information with each other. We have to synchronize and update each other. And every so often, we have to reduce the partial products and then rebroadcast out the partial products, the sum of the partial products, back to everybody else. And so there's a lot of what is called all reduce and all to all and all gather. It's all part of this area of synchronization and collectives so that we can have GPUs working with each other. Having extraordinarily fast links and being able to do mathematics right in the network allows us to essentially amplify even further. So even though it's 1.8 terabytes per second, it's effectively higher than that. And so it's many times that of Hopper. The likelihood of a supercomputer running for weeks on end is approximately 0. And the reason for that is because there's so many components working at the same time. The probability of them working continuously is very low. And so we need to make sure that whenever there is we checkpoint and restart as often as we can, but if we have the ability to detect a weak chip or a weak node early, we can retire it and maybe swap in another processor. That ability to keep the utilization of the supercomputer high, especially when you just spent $2 billion building it, is super important. And so we put in a RAS engine, a reliability engine that does 100% self-test,
super important.
In-system
God,
test
this guy's hilarious.
of every single gate, every single bit of memory on the Blackwell chip and all the memory that's connected to it. It's almost as if we shipped with every single chip its own advanced tester that we test our chips with. This is the first time we're doing this. Super excited about it. Secure AI.
People don't care about the AI. They're like, we want a stock split, dude. That's all we want.
Only this conference do they clap for RAS. Secure AI. Obviously, you've just spent hundreds of millions of dollars creating a very important AI. And the code, the intelligence of that AI is encoded in the parameters. You want to make sure that on the one hand, you don't lose it. On the other hand, it doesn't get contaminated. And so we now have the ability to encrypt
Electric cars
data,
too, Carlos.
of course, at rest, but also in transit and while it's being computed. It's all encrypted. And so we now have the ability to encrypt in transmission, and when we're computing it, it is in a trusted environment, trusted engine environment. And the last thing is decompression. Moving data in and out of these nodes when the compute is so fast becomes really essential. And so we've put in a high line speed compression engine and effectively moves data 20 times faster in and out of these computers. These computers are so powerful and there's such a large investment, the last thing we want to do is have them be idle. And so all of these capabilities are intended to keep
wants us to take a breath,
Blackwell
guys.
fed
We
and
haven't seen a true direction yet.
busy as possible. Overall, compared to Hopper, it is 2.5 times the FP8 performance for training per chip. It also has this new format called FP6, so that even though the computation speed is the same, the bandwidth that's amplified because of the memory, the amount of parameters you can store in the memory is now amplified. FP4 effectively doubles the throughput. This is vitally important for inference.
Thank you again, Frankie, for that $9.99 donation. Let's get some likes in there for Frankie. Thank you so much.
Whenever you use a computer with AI on the other side, when you're chatting with the chatbot, when you're asking it to review or make an image, remember, in the back is a GPU generating tokens. Some people call it inference, but it's more appropriately generation. The way that computing is done in the past was retrieval. You would grab your phone, you would touch something, some signals go off, basically an email goes off to some storage somewhere. There's pre-recorded content, somebody wrote a story, or somebody made an image, or somebody recorded a video. That pre-recorded content is then streamed back to the phone and recomposed in a way, based on a recommender system, to present the information to you. You know that in the future, the vast majority of that content will not be retrieved. And the reason for that is because that was pre-recorded by somebody who doesn't understand the context, which is the reason why we have to retrieve so much content. If you can be working with an AI that understands the context, who you are, for what reason you're fetching this information, and produces the information for you just the way you like it, the amount of energy we save, the amount of networking bandwidth we save, the amount of wasted time we save will be tremendous. The future is generative, which is the reason why we call it generative AI, which is the reason why this is a brand new industry. The way we compute is fundamentally different. We created a processor for the generative AI era. And one of the most important parts of it is content token generation. We call it, this format is FP4. Well, that's a lot of computation. 5x the token generation, 5x the inference capability of Hopper seems like enough. But why stop there? The answer is it's not enough, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you why. And so we would like to have a bigger GPU, even bigger than this one. And so
all the smart money's out of the market. All the retail traders are like,
and notice,
don't know what
but
he's
first,
saying.
Let me just tell you how we've scaled. Over the course of the last 8 years, we've increased computation by 1,000 times. 8 years, 1,000 times. Remember, back in the good old days of Moore's Law, it was 2x, well, 5x every, 10x every 5 years. That's easiest math. 10x every 5 years, 100 times every 10 years. 100 times every 10 years in the middle, in the heydays of the PC revolution. 100 times every 10 years. In the last 8 years, we've gone 1,000 times. We have 2 more years to go.
My baby girl just woke up. I'll be right back.
And so that puts it in perspective. The rate at which we're advancing computing is insane, and it's still not fast enough, so we built another chip. This chip is just an incredible chip. We call it the NVLink switch. It's 50 billion transistors. It's almost the size of Hopper all by itself. This switch chip has 4 NVLinks in it, each 1.8 terabytes per second, and it has computation in it, as I mentioned. What is this chip for? If we were to build such a chip, we can have every single GPU talk to every other GPU at full speed at the same time. That's insane.
All right, guys, what did
It
you say?
doesn't even make sense. But if you could do that, if you can find a way to do that and build a system to do that, that's cost effective. That's cost effective. How incredible would it be that we could have all these GPUs connect over a coherent link so that they effectively are one giant GPU? Well, one of the great inventions in order to make it cost effective is that this chip has to drive copper directly. The SerDes of this chip is just a phenomenal invention so that we could do direct drive to copper. And as a result, you can build a system that looks like this.
Okay, that clap was a little sad. He was like, you could look like this. Everyone's like...
Now this system is kind of insane. This is one DGX. This is what a DGX looks like now. Remember, just 6 years ago, it was pretty heavy, but I was able to lift it. I delivered the first DGX-1 to OpenAI, and the researchers there, it's on, the pictures are on the internet, and we all autographed it. If you come to my office, it's autographed there. It's really beautiful. But you could lift it. This DGX, that DGX, by the way, was 170 teraflops. If you're not familiar with the numbering system, that's 0.17 petaflops. So this is 720. The first one I delivered to OpenAI was 0.17. You could round it up to 0.2, won't make any difference. And back then, it was like, wow, 30 more teraflops. And so this is now 720 petaflops, almost an exaflop for training, and the world's first 1 exaflops machine in one rack.
Nali, thank you for the $9.99. Just saw that. Sorry about that, but thank you so much. Really do appreciate that.
Just so you know, there are only a couple, 2, 3 exaflops machines on the planet as we speak. And so this is an exaflops AI system in one single rack. Well, let's take a look at the back of it. So this is what makes it possible. That's the back, the DGX NVLink spine. 130 terabytes per second goes through the back of that chassis. That is more than the aggregate bandwidth of the internet.
That's more than the electricity you would use in a whole city in one
So
GPU.
we could basically send everything to everybody within a second. And so we have 5,000 cables, 5,000 NVLink cables, in total 2 miles. Now, this is the amazing thing. If we had to use optics, we would have had to use transceivers and retimers, and those transceivers and retimers alone would have cost 20,000 watts. 2 kilowatts of just transceivers alone, just to drive the NVLink spine. As a result, we did it completely for free over NVLink switch, and we were able to save the 20 kilowatts for computation. This entire rack is 120 kilowatts, so that 20 kilowatts makes a huge difference. It's liquid cooled, What goes in is 25 degrees C, about room temperature. What comes out is 45 degrees C, about your jacuzzi. So room temperature goes in, jacuzzi comes out, 2 liters per second.
Yeah, who do you main on League of Legends?
We could
Also,
sell
the
a
claps
peripheral.
are so awkward.
600,000 parts. Somebody used to say, you guys make GPUs, and we do, but this is what a GPU looks like to me. When somebody says GPU, I see this. 2 years ago, when I saw a GPU, it was the HGX. It was 70 pounds, 35,000 parts. Our GPUs now are 600,000 parts and 3,000 pounds. 3,000 pounds. 3,000 pounds, that's kind of like the weight of a, carbon fiber Ferrari. I don't know if that's a useful metric, but everybody's going,
I'm an
I
Ari
feel
main,
it.
and my
I
daughter's
feel it.
name is
I get
Ari.
it. I get that. Now that you
But I
mention
don't
that,
play
I
anymore.
feel it.
TFT
I don't know
only.
what's 3,000 pounds. Okay, so 3,000 pounds, ton and a half. So it's not quite an elephant. So this is what a DGX looks like. Now let's see what it looks like in operation. Okay, let's imagine, how do we put this to work and what does that mean? Well, if you were to train a GPT model, 1.8 trillion parameter model, it took apparently about 3 to 5 months or so with 25,000 amperes. If we were to do it with Hopper, it would probably take something like 8,000 GPUs, and it would consume 15 megawatts. 8,000 GPUs and 15 megawatts. It would take 90 days, about 3 months. And that would allow you to train something that is, this groundbreaking AI model. And this is obviously not as expensive as anybody would think, but it's 8,000 GPUs. It's still a lot of money. And so 8,000 GPUs, 50 megawatts. If you were to use Blackwell to do this, it would only take 2,000 GPUs. 2,000 GPUs, same 90 days, but this is the amazing part. Only 4 megawatts of power. So from 15, yeah, that's right. And that's our goal. Our goal is to continuously drive down the cost and the energy. They're directly proportional to each other, cost and energy associated with the computing, so that we can continue to expand and scale up the computation that we have to do to train the next generation models. Well, this is training. Inference, or generation, is vitally important going forward. Probably some half of the time that NVIDIA GPUs are in the cloud these days, it's being used for token generation. They're either doing Copilot this or ChatGPT that, or all these different models that are being used when you're interacting with it, or generating images, or generating videos, generating proteins, generating chemicals. There's a bunch of generation going on. All of that is in the category of computing we call inference. But inference is extremely hard for large language models because these large language models have several properties. One, they're very large, and so it doesn't fit on one GPU. Imagine Excel doesn't fit on one GPU, And imagine some application you're running on a daily basis doesn't fit on one computer. Like a video game doesn't fit on one computer. And most, in fact, do. And many times in the past, in hyperscale computing, many applications for many people fit on the same computer. And now, all of a sudden, this one inference application where you're interacting with this chatbot, that chatbot requires a supercomputer.
You can now use AI to spread a viral disease.
The future is generative with these chatbots, and these chatbots are trillions of tokens, trillions of parameters, and they have to generate tokens at interactive rates. Now, what does that mean? Oh, well, 3 tokens is about a word. Space, the final frontier.
Is this Biden?
These are the adventures. That's like 80 tokens. Okay? I don't know if that's useful to you. And so, the art of communications is selecting good analogies. Yeah, this is not going well. Everybody's like, I don't know what he's talking about. Never seen Star Trek. And so here we are, we're trying to generate these tokens. When you're interacting with it, you're hoping that the tokens come back to you as quickly as possible and as quickly as you can read it. And so the ability for generation tokens is really important. You have to parallelize the work of this model across many, many GPUs so that you could achieve several things. One, on the one hand, you would like throughput because that throughput reduces the cost, the overall cost per token of generating. So your throughput dictates the cost of delivering the service. On the other hand, you have another interactive rate, which is another tokens per second, where it's about per user, and that has everything to do with quality of service. And so these two things compete against each other. And we have to find a way to distribute work across all of these different GPUs and parallelize it in a way that allows us to achieve both. And it turns out the search space is enormous. You know, I told you there's going to be math involved. And everybody's going, oh, dear. I heard some gasps just now when I put up that slide. You know, so this right here, the y-axis is tokens per second, data center throughput. The x-axis is tokens per second, interactivity of the person. And notice the upper right is the best. You want interactivity to be very high, number of tokens per second per user. You want the tokens per second per data center to be very high. The upper right is terrific. However, it's very hard to do that. And in order for us to search for the best answer across every single one of those intersections, x, y coordinates, okay, so just look at every single x, y coordinate, all those blue dots came from some repartitioning of the software. Some optimizing solution has to go and figure out whether to use tensor parallel, expert parallel, pipeline parallel, or data parallel, and distribute this enormous model across all these different GPUs and sustain the performance that you need. This exploration space would be impossible if not for the programmability of NVIDIA's GPUs. And so we could, because of CUDA, because we have such a rich ecosystem, we could explore this universe and find that green roofline. It turns out that green roofline, notice, you got TP2, EP8, DP4. It means two tensor parallel across 2 GPUs, expert parallels across 8, data parallel across 4. Notice on the other end, you got tensor parallel across 4 and expert parallel across 16.
We know it.
The configuration, the distribution of that software, it's a different runtime that would produce these different results. And you have to go discover that roofline. Well, that's just one model. And this is just one configuration of a computer. Imagine all of the models being created around the world and all the different configurations of systems that are going to be available. So now that you understand the basics, let's take a look at inference of Blackwell compared to Hopper. And this is the extraordinary thing. In one generation, because we created a system that's designed for trillion parameter generative AI, the inference capability of Blackwell is off the charts. And in fact, it is some 30 times Hopper. Yeah. For large language models like ChatGPT and others like it, the blue line is Hopper. I gave you, imagine we didn't change the architecture of Hopper, and we just made it a bigger chip. We just used the latest, greatest 10 terabytes per second. We connected the 2 chips together. We got this giant 208 billion parameter chip. How would we have performed if nothing else changed? And it turns out quite wonderfully, and that's the purple line, but not as great as it could be. And that's where the FP4 Tensor Core, the new transformer engine, and very importantly, the NVLink switch. And the reason for that is because all these GPUs have to share the results, partial products. Whenever they do all gather, whenever they communicate with each other, that NVLink switch is communicating almost 10 times faster than what we could do in the past using the fastest networks. Okay, so Blackwell is going
Joke's
to be
on you guys,
just
this
an
was all
amazing
a simulation.
system for generative AI. And in the future, data centers are going to be thought of, as I mentioned earlier, as an AI factory. An AI factory's goal in life is to generate revenues, generate, in this case, intelligence in this facility, not generating electricity as in AC generators, but of the last industrial revolution and this industrial revolution, the generation of intelligence. And so this ability is super, super important. The excitement of Blackwell is really off the charts. You know, when we first this is a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I guess 2 years ago, when we first started to go to market with Hopper, you know, we had the benefit of two CSPs joined us in a launch, and we were, you know, delighted. And so we had 2 customers. We have more now.
Yeah, it's so awkward. So awkward.
Unbelievable excitement for Blackwell. Unbelievable excitement. And there's a whole bunch of different configurations. Of course, I showed you the configurations that slide into the Hopper form factor, so that's easy to upgrade. I showed you examples that are liquid cooled.
Do you work at one of these companies on the
one entire rack
board?
That's connected by NVLink 72. Blackwell is going to be ramping to the world's AI companies, of which there are so many now, doing amazing work in different modalities. The CSPs, every CSP is geared up. All the OEMs and ODMs, regional clouds, sovereign AIs, and telcos all over the world are signing up to launch with Blackwell.
He finally got a real clap and he didn't know what to do. He was like,
Blackwell would be the most successful product launch in our history. And so I can't wait to see that. I want to thank some partners that are joining us in this. AWS is gearing up for Blackwell. They're going to build the first GPU with secure AI. They're building out a 222 exaflops system. You know, just now when we animated the digital twin, if you saw all of those clusters are coming down. By the way, that is not just art. That is a digital twin of what we're building. That's how big it's going to be. Besides infrastructure, we're doing a lot of things together with AWS. We're CUDA accelerating SageMaker AI.
My brother was working with Oracle
CUDA
for a while.
Bedrock AI. Amazon Robotics is working with us
I don't know what
using
he did, but
NVIDIA Omniverse and Isaac Sim. AWS Health has NVIDIA Health integrated into it. So AWS has really leaned into accelerated computing. Google is gearing up for Blackwell. GCP already has A100s, H100s,
yes,
T4s, L4s, a whole fleet of NVIDIA CUDA GPUs. And they recently announced the Gemma model that runs across all of it. We're working to optimize and accelerate every aspect of GCP. We're accelerating Dataproc, which for data processing, their data processing engine, JAX, XLA, Vertex AI, and Mujoko for robotics. So we're working with Google and GCP across a whole bunch of initiatives. Oracle is gearing up for Blackwell. Oracle is a great partner of ours for NVIDIA DGX Cloud, and we're also working together to accelerate something that's really important to a lot of companies, Oracle Database. Microsoft is accelerating, and Microsoft is gearing up for Blackwell. Microsoft and NVIDIA has a wide-ranging partnership. We're accelerating, CUDA accelerating all kinds of services when you chat, obviously, and AI services that are in Microsoft Azure. It's very, very likely NVIDIA's in the back doing the inference and the token generation. They built the largest NVIDIA InfiniBand supercomputer, basically a digital twin of ours, or a physical twin of ours. We're bringing the NVIDIA ecosystem to Azure. NVIDIA DGX Cloud to Azure. NVIDIA Omniverse is now hosted in Azure. NVIDIA Healthcare is in Azure. And all of it is deeply integrated and deeply connected with Microsoft Fabric. The whole industry is gearing up for Blackwell. This is what I'm about to show you. Most of the scenes that you've seen so far of Blackwell are the full fidelity design of Blackwell. everything in our company has a digital twin. And in fact, this digital twin idea is really spreading, and it helps companies build very complicated things perfectly the first time. And what could be more exciting than creating a digital twin to build a computer that was built in a digital twin? And so let me show you what Wistron's doing.
Down almost 1% now.
To meet the demand for NVIDIA
guys.
accelerated computing, Wistron, one of our leading manufacturing partners, is building digital twins of NVIDIA DGX and HGX factories using custom software developed with Omniverse SDKs and APIs. For their newest factory, Wistron started with a digital twin to virtually integrate their multi-CAD and process simulation data into a unified view. Testing and optimizing layouts in this physically accurate digital environment increased worker efficiency by 51%. During construction, the Omniverse digital twin was used to verify that the physical build matched the digital plans. Identifying any discrepancies early has helped avoid costly change orders. And the results have been impressive. Using a digital twin helped bring Wistron's factory online in half the time, just 2.5 months instead of 5. In operation, the Omniverse digital twin helps Wistron rapidly test new layouts to accommodate new processes or improve operations in the existing space, and monitor real-time operations using live IoT data from every machine on the production line, which ultimately enabled Wistron to reduce end-to-end cycle times by 50% and defect rates by 40%. With NVIDIA AI and Omniverse, NVIDIA's global ecosystem of partners are building a new era of accelerated, AI-enabled digitalization.
That's the way it's going to be in the future. We're going to manufacture everything digitally first, and then we'll manufacture it physically. People ask me, how did it start? What got you guys so excited? What was it that you saw that caused you to put it all in on this incredible idea? And it's this. Hang on a second.
Ali, just saying again, thank you for the donation on PayPal, $9.99. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it.
Guys, that was going to be such a moment.
The thing's in wonky popping up, but when you donate on PayPal, it doesn't pop up. But
that's what happens.
YouTube
when you
doesn't take half the money, so that's very, very nice. Thank you so much.
This, as you know, was First Contact. 2012, AlexNet. You put a cat into this computer, and it comes out and it says, cat. And we said, oh my God, this is going to change everything.
This is what we retail traders can understand.
You take 1 million numbers across 3 channels, RGB. These numbers make no sense to anybody. You put it into this software, and it dimensionally reduces it. It reduces it from 1 million dimensions. It turns it into 3 letters, 1 vector, 1 number. And it's generalized. You could have the cat be different cats. And you could have it be the front of the cat and the back of the cat. And you look at this thing, you say, unbelievable. You mean any cats? Yeah,
any cat. Any cat. We should buy NVIDIA,
and
guys.
It was
we can
able
make
to recognize all these cats. And we realized how it did it. Systematically, structurally, it's scalable. How big can you make it? Well, how big do you want to make it? And so we imagined that this is a completely new way of writing software.
Cats are now at 2%.
Today, as you know, you type in the word C-A-T, and what comes out is a cat. It went the other way. Am I right? Unbelievable. How is it possible? That's right. How is it possible you took 3 letters and you generated 1 million pixels from it, and it made sense? Well, that's the miracle. And here we are, just literally 10 years later, where we recognize text, we recognize images, we recognize videos and sounds and images. Not only do we recognize them, we understand their meaning. We understand the meaning of the text. That's the reason why it can chat with you. It can summarize for you. It understands the text. It understood, not just recognizes the English, it understood the English. It doesn't just recognize the pixels, it understood the pixels. And
yep, NVIDIA now down 1.36, so we're coming down into the consolidation, the bottom side here.
And generate all kinds of interesting things.
If we get a reaction up, or else this might break down.
If you can understand these things, what else can you understand that you've digitized? The reason why we started with text and images is because we digitized those. But what else have we digitized? Well, it turns out we digitized a lot of things. Proteins and genes and brain waves. Anything you can digitize, so long as there's structure, we can probably learn some patterns from it. And if we can learn the patterns from it, we can understand its meaning. If we can understand its meaning, we might be able to generate it as well. And so therefore, the generative AI revolution is here. Well, what else can we generate? What else can we learn? Well, one of the things that we would love to learn is we would love to learn climate. We would love to learn extreme weather. We would love to learn how we can predict future weather at regional scales at sufficiently high resolution such that we can keep people out of harm's way before harm comes. Extreme weather costs the world $150 billion. Surely more than that, it's not evenly distributed. $150 billion is concentrated in some parts of the world, and of course, to some people of the world. We need to adapt, and we need to know what's coming. And so we're creating Earth 2, a digital twin of the Earth for predicting weather, and we've made an extraordinary invention called CoreDiff, the ability to use generative AI to predict weather at extremely high resolution. Let's take a look.
As the Earth's climate changes, AI-powered weather forecasting is allowing us to more accurately predict and track severe storms, like Super Typhoon Chanthu, which caused widespread damage in Taiwan and the surrounding region in 2021. Current AI forecast models can accurately predict the track of storms, but they are limited to 25-kilometer resolution, which can miss important details. Nvidia's CoreDiff is a revolutionary new generative AI model trained on high-resolution, radar-assimilated WRF weather forecasts and Era 5 reanalysis data. Using CoreDiff, extreme events like Chanthu can be super-resolved from 25-kilometer to 2-kilometer resolution, with 1,000 times the speed and 3,000 times the energy efficiency of conventional weather models. By combining the speed and accuracy of NVIDIA's weather forecasting model ForecastNet and generative AI models like CoreDiff, we can explore hundreds or even thousands of kilometer-scale regional weather forecasts to provide a clear picture of the best, worst, and most likely impacts of a storm. This wealth of information can help minimize loss of life and property damage. Today, CoreDiff is optimized for Taiwan, but soon, generative supersampling will be available as part of the Nvidia Earth 2 inference service for many regions across the globe.
The weather company is the trusted source of global weather prediction. We are working together to accelerate their weather simulation, first principled base of simulation. However, they're also going to integrate Earth 2 CoreDiff so that they could help businesses and countries do regional, high-resolution weather prediction. And so if you have some weather prediction you'd like to do, reach out to the weather company. Really exciting work. Nvidia Healthcare. Something we started 15 years ago. We're super excited about this. This is an area where we're very, very proud. Whether it's medical imaging or gene sequencing or computational chemistry, it is very likely that NVIDIA is the computation behind it. We've done so much work in this area. Today, we're announcing that we're going to do something really, really cool. Imagine all of these AI models that are being used to generate images and audio, but instead of images and audio, because it understood images and audio, all the digitization that we've done for genes and proteins and amino acids, that digitization capability is now passed through machine learning so that we understand the language of life. The ability to understand the language of life, of course, we saw the first evidence of it with AlphaFold. This is really quite an extraordinary thing. After decades of painstaking work, the world had only digitized and reconstructed using cryo-electron microscopy or crystal X-ray crystallography. These different techniques painstakingly reconstructed the protein, 200,000 of them. In just, less than a year or so, AlphaFold has reconstructed 200 million proteins, basically every protein, every living thing that's ever been sequenced.
Good job, Russia.
This is completely revolutionary. Well, those models are incredibly hard to use, incredibly hard for people to build, and so what we're going to do is we're going to build them. We're going to build them for the researchers around the world, and it won't be the only one. There'll be many other models that we create, and so let me show you what we're going to do with it.
Virtual screening for new medicines is a computationally intractable problem. Existing techniques can only scan billions of compounds and require days on thousands of standard compute nodes to identify new drug candidates.
GT Cuts, thank you for the
Nvidia
$4.99 through the super
enable
chat.
a new generative screening paradigm.
Giving us a critical
using
hit on
NIMS for
Nvidia
protein
as of right
structure
now, down
prediction with AlphaFold,
2.1%.
molecule generation with MolMIM, and docking with DiffDock.
We show a cat one
we
more
can now
time.
generate and
Outlaws.
screen candidate molecules in a matter of minutes. MolMIM can connect to custom applications to steer the generative process, iteratively optimizing for desired properties. These applications can be defined with BioNeMo microservices or built from scratch. Here, a physics-based simulation optimizes for a molecule's ability to bind to a target protein, while optimizing for other favorable molecular properties in parallel. MolMIM generates high-quality drug-like molecules that bind to the target and are synthesizable, translating to a higher probability of developing successful medicines faster. BioNeMo is enabling a new paradigm in drug discovery with NIMS, providing on-demand microservices that can be combined to build powerful drug discovery workflows like de novo protein design or guided molecule generation for virtual screening. BioNeMo NIMS are helping researchers and developers reinvent computational drug design.
NVIDIA MolMIM, Core Diff, there's a whole bunch of other models. Computer vision models, robotics models, and even, of course, some really, really terrific open source language models.
Could be,
These
Frenchie,
models
could be.
are groundbreaking. However, it's hard for companies to use. How would you use it? How would you bring it into your company and integrate it into your workflow? How would you package it up and run it? Remember, earlier I just said that inference is an extraordinary computation problem. How would you do the optimization for each and every one of these models and put together the computing stack necessary to run that supercomputer so that you can run these models in your company? And so we have a great idea. We're going to invent a new way for you to receive and operate software. This software comes basically in a digital box. We call it a container. And we call it the NVIDIA Inference
Very good point. We are
Microservice,
after hours, so
NIM.
retail's a
And
lot of the
I'll explain to
morning
you what it
trades.
is. A NIM. It's a pre-trained model, so it's pretty clever. And it is packaged and optimized to run across NVIDIA's installed base, which is very, very large. What's inside it is incredible. You have all these pre-trained, state-of-the-art open source models. They could be open source. They could be from one of our partners. It could be created by us, like NVIDIA MolMIM. It is packaged up with all of its dependencies. So CUDA, the right version. cuDNN, the right version. TensorRT, LLM, distributing across the multiple GPUs. Triton Inference Server, all completely packaged together. It's optimized, depending on whether you have a single GPU, multi-GPU, or multi-node of GPUs. It's optimized for that. And it's connected up with APIs that are simple to use. Now think about what an AI API is. An AI API is an interface that you just talk to. And so this is a piece of software in the future that has a really simple API, and that API is called human. And these packages, incredible bodies of software, will be optimized and packaged, and we'll put it on a website. And you can download it. You could take it with you. You could run it in any cloud. You could run it in your own data center. You can run in workstations if it fit. And all you have to do is come to ai.nvidia.com. We call it NVIDIA Inference Microservice, but inside the company, we all call it NIMS. Okay? Just imagine, someday there's going to be one of these chatbots, and these chatbots is going to just be in a NIM, and you'll assemble a whole bunch of chatbots, and that's the way software is going to be built someday. How do we build software in the future? It is unlikely that you'll write it from scratch or write a whole bunch of Python code or anything like that. It is very likely that you assemble a team of AIs. There's probably going to be a super AI that you use that takes the mission that you give it and breaks it down into an execution plan. Some of that execution plan could be handed off to another NIM. That NIM would maybe understand SAP. The language of SAP is ABAP. It might understand ServiceNow. And it go retrieve some information from their platforms. It might then hand that result to another NIM who goes off and does some calculation on it. Maybe it's an optimization software, a combinatorial optimization algorithm. Maybe it's some basic calculator. Maybe it's pandas to do some numerical analysis on it. And then it comes back with its answer, and it gets combined with everybody else's, and because it's been presented with this is what the right answer should look like, it knows what right answers to produce, and it presents it to you. We can get a report every single day at top of the hour that has something to do with a build plan or some forecast or some customer alert or some bugs database or whatever it happens to be, and we could assemble it using all these NIMs.
Exactly, Steve.
And because these NIMs have been packaged up and ready to work on your systems, so long as you have NVIDIA GPUs in your data center or in the cloud, this NIMs will work together as a team and do amazing things. And so we decided, this is such a great idea, we're going to go do that. And so NVIDIA has NIMs running all over the company. We have
sounds like Kamala Harris.
chatbots
That's
being created all over the place, and one of the most important chatbots,
it is a chip,
of course, is a chip designer chatbot.
For chips, and it needs
you might
energy.
not be surprised. We care a lot
Also,
about building
using a
chips.
chip requires the
and
energy
so we want
of the
to build chatbots, AI co-pilots that are co-designers with our engineers. And so this is the way we did it. So we got ourselves a Llama 2. This is a 70B, and it's packaged up in a NIM. And we asked it, what is a CTL? Well, it turns out CTL is an internal program, and it has an internal proprietary language, but it thought the CTL was a combinatorial timing logic, and so it describes conventional knowledge of CTL.
So just real quick, this wicking here, we didn't
us.
close below this
and
level.
So we gave it a whole bunch of new examples.
Closing low.
This is no different than onboarding an employee. We say, thanks for that answer. It's completely wrong. And then we present to them, this is what a CTL is. Okay, and so this is what a CTL is at NVIDIA. And the CTL, as you can see, CTL stands for Compute Trace Library, which makes sense. We're tracing compute cycles all the time, and it wrote the program. Isn't that amazing? And so the productivity of our chip designers can go up. This is what you can do with a NIM. First thing you can do with it is customize it. We have a service called NeMo Microservice that helps you curate the data, preparing the data so that you could onboard this AI. You fine-tune them, and then you guardrail it. You can even evaluate the answer, evaluate its performance against other examples. And so that's called the NeMo Microservice.
While he's stuttering, give us some
here
sentiment here.
Three elements,
bullish
three
or bearish? Just say, does NVIDIA go up?
Of course,
say yes,
inventing the
say
technology
no.
for
real quick in the chat.
AI models and running AI models and packaging it up for you. The second is to create tools to help you modify it. First is having the AI technology. Second is to help you modify it. And third is infrastructure for you to fine-tune it and, if you like, deploy it. You could deploy it on our infrastructure called DGX Cloud, or you can deploy it on-prem, you can deploy it anywhere you like. Once you develop it, it's yours to take anywhere. And so we are effectively an AI foundry. We will do for you and the industry on AI what TSMC does for us building chips. And so we go to TSMC with our big ideas, they manufacture it, and we take it with us. And so exactly the same thing here, AI foundry, and the three pillars are the NIMs, NeMo microservice, and DGX Cloud. The other thing that you could teach the NIM to do is to understand your proprietary information. Remember, inside our company, the vast majority of our data is not in the cloud. It's inside our company. It's been sitting there, being used all the time, and gosh, it's basically NVIDIA's intelligence.
See if it piles
we
on.
would like to take that
up.
data, learn its meaning, like we learned the meaning of almost anything else that we just talked about. Learn its meaning, and then re-index that knowledge into a new type of database called a vector database. And so you essentially take structured data or unstructured data, you learn its meaning, you encode its meaning, so now this becomes an AI database, and that AI database, in the future, once you create it, you can talk to it. And so let me give you an example.
AMD down pretty good.
So suppose you've got a whole bunch of multi-modality data, and one good example of that is PDF. So you take the PDF, you take all of your PDFs, all your favorite, the stuff that is proprietary to you, critical to your company. You can encode it, just as we encoded pixels of a cat, and it becomes the word cat. We can encode all of your PDF, and it turns into vectors that are now stored inside your vector database. It becomes the proprietary information of your company. And once you have that proprietary information, you can chat to it. It's a smart database. And so you just chat with data. And how much more enjoyable is that? For our software team, they just chat with the bugs database.
It might be
how
that
many
way.
bugs was there last night? Are we making any progress? And then after you're done talking to this bugs database, you need therapy. And so we have another chatbot for you. You can do it. Okay, so we call this NeMo Retriever, and the reason for that is because ultimately its job is to go retrieve information as quickly as possible. And you just talk to it. Hey, retrieve me this information. It goes, it brings it back to you. And do you mean this? You go, yeah, perfect. Okay? And so we call it the NeMo Retriever. Well, the NeMo service helps you create all these things, and we have all these different NIMs. We even have NIMs of digital humans.
I'm Rachel, your AI care manager.
Okay, so it's a really short clip, but there were so many videos.
All right, guys, I have to end it
many
here.
Other demos to show
so
you.
we're going to come off of here. Just in the post, or adding in the extended hours here, we can see a little bit of structure forming, right? Some triangle possibly to move higher, right? You do have a ton of liquidity in this area now, so you can't see that pop higher. I'm not going to sit there and watch him say cat again. So make sure, if you did not watch the beginning of this video, we did a breakdown of every single stock on the channel at the beginning of the video, so we could give you guys some direction, possible, what could maybe be happening as of tomorrow. But I just wanted to go through just showing this, really just showing you guys AMD as well, coming down actually a little bit lower, but it's coming down into the point where we have to kind of be a little bit on our toes, right? So this is the extended hours, but if we can create this divergence right here, we could get double bottom. But this could just be the cup, right? And then get that handle that really looks like cup handle, using the previous highs as some resistance now. But are we going to break through? That would be interesting going into tomorrow. Meta, one that we were paying attention to because it likes to move. It's not moving at all with this news. So Meta has been moving with Nvidia news pretty good, and it's not necessarily seeing that. SMCI, I know that that's selling off. At least last time I looked at it on my other screen, it was selling off pretty good. So looks like it's selling off one more time, but like I said, maybe it's doing AMD's doing and testing that bottom. And yes, it is funny that a 100-point move is now pretty normal for this, but this could have been some kind of fake out in that area, right? And we see that bought back up. So as of right now, we have not necessarily made a closing new low, and so that's something to pay attention to. Wait for a break of this, and then we'll see. But it looks like maybe review, maybe you guys who are talking about this are slightly correct in that we could see some kind of pop in the morning and see some kind of drop. We could see some kind of big pop to 1,000. We could see some kind of smaller pop and then see that drop back down. So we could even see something like this, and then we actually break. So we're drawing this up. This is something you guys are going to see here first. Make sure to like the video for me, please, please, please. And if you're wanting to learn about how to use some of these indicators, check out the course. And if you want the ranges, which could come in very, very much so very good hands, right? It would be very handy to have these ranges for NVIDIA tomorrow. Look for those ranges. It's down in the description. You can join the Patreon to get them. I just want to say, man, I really appreciated all the donations. Thank you guys so much. I mean, GT Cuts, Frankie, Nolly, thank you guys so much. And everyone that donated, if I missed you or if you subscribed or anything like that, thank you. But I don't really want to sit here and listen to him talk about how to create cats with AI. It doesn't seem like a productive thing. So I'm going to go hang out with my baby girl. I'll spend some time with mom. So I hope you guys have a great night. I really, really do. Like the stream on the way out so that more people can see this for me. It really helps the channel out, and I appreciate you guys being here. Let's see how this plays out tomorrow. Tons of things that could happen. Let's keep trading like water. Good luck tomorrow. Have a good night. Peace.